Hi everyone, this is Eric Rodebois, EPGD Attorneys at Law PA, coming at you from Miami, Florida. It still hasn't rained. This is video number 5 today. I'm feeling the creative juices flowing. So here's what I want to talk to you guys about. This message is directed at employers, okay? Employers. So here's what my offer to you is. I want to sit down with you. I will come to your office, which by the way, just between us, I hate doing because I have to drive there. It takes my time out of my office. I'll meet with you, then I gotta drive back. So basically I'm sacrificing 3 meetings more or less to come to your office. Here's what I'm doing. I'm gonna come to your office. I'm gonna sit down with you or your partner or your manager or your HR director or whoever it is, and I'm gonna ask them some very simple questions about how you're treating your employees, okay? And so what we're gonna call that is we're gonna call that an employment audit. I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna ask you a whole bunch of questions. Do you know the difference between independent contractors or 1099s and W-2s or employees? All right, so 1099 versus W-2. What's the real difference? And what's the consequences if you get it wrong? Let me give you a little heads up. The IRS cares a lot about this, and they can get personal liability on you under the trust fund recovery penalty. We deal with it every day in this office. We have an entire department of tax lawyers fighting the IRS because employers are screwing this up. All right, how about this? Do you know the difference between when you can treat someone as a salaried employee or when you have to treat someone as hourly? There's very specific laws on this, okay? That's under the Fair Labor Standards Act. IRS doesn't care so much. You know who cares? The Department of Labor. You know who else cares? Your employees who can sue you under the Fair Labor Standards Act, and they get attorney's fees and you don't. So even if you defend and you win, you still have to pay your lawyer presumably. So make sure you're doing it right. Lastly, are you making sure that you're following the immigration laws? Now, Nero Immigration, Deirdre Nero, they do an entire class, and I've helped with it, on I-9 compliance. One of our buddies said to her, and the guy has been in business for like 10, 15 years, he says to her, "What's an I-9? And she's like, "Are you kidding?" He's like, "Yeah, no, I'm serious. Like, what's an I-9? So if you don't know what an I-9 is, you are violating the immigration laws, which are enforced by the USCIS, Customs and Immigration Service. That's the ones you hear about all the time in the news nowadays. All right, so just as a reminder, Department of Labor is enforcing salary versus hourly, Fair Labor Standards Act, and the IRS is really going to get involved in this 1099 versus W-2 because those are actually the names of IRS forms and the obligations you have. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to come to your office. We're going to have a meeting. I'm going to ask you a ton of questions. If you're doing everything right, I will tell you, and it'll cost you nothing. And you can rest assured and you can sleep good that you're doing everything right. And now what I'm going to do at that point, if you're doing it right, is I'm going to propose a couple things. Okay? I'm going to propose that we look at your employment contracts. K is the shorthand for contract. I'm going to also look at your independent contractor agreements. Right? I'm going to look at your non-competes. Do you even have them? Are you being consistent with the way you enforce them, the way that you use them? Did you know that independent contractors can be made to sign non-competes in the state of Florida? Not in most other states, but absolutely in the state of Florida. All right, and then last but not least, do you have a good employment handbook that complies with Florida and federal laws and that also creates the guidelines, which, by the way, can save you a lot of liability, okay? So the handbooks can... you can have a sexual harassment policy, drug testing, background checks, all kinds of things that are important that you need to put them in writing and they need to be done the right way. So that when your employee comes in on day 1, they have to sign the W-9, which is how, so they get their W-2. I usually make them also sign a W-9. I also make them the W-4 for the W-2 and the W-9 for the 1099, the I-9, and then how about making sure that they have their employment contract, their non-compete, and they signed an authorization for the handbook, okay? That's in a nice, happy world where you're already doing everything right. What if you're doing everything wrong? Well, I'm gonna fix it. And I'm gonna teach you, or your team, or whoever it is in your organization that needs to be educated, all right? The cost of fixing it or the cost of making it better is 1/10 to 1/20 of what it would cost if anything goes wrong. IRS, Department of Labor, USCIS, or under all these, the courts in private civil lawsuits. So this is Eric Rodegroff from EPGD Attorneys at Law. This is my proposal. There'll be more marketing material coming out soon. I hope you're doing great. Thank you.